it comes to Christmas or my birthday, all I ever really want is books. Will I get around to reading those books anytime soon?
Probably not.
However, I still like to have pretty books on my shelf, and my friends and family delivered this year. So let's have a look at the books I got for Christmas this year. First up, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the first book in a series by the same name. It seems to be kind of a YA fantasy romance. It follows Evangeline after she gets her heart broken and makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, whoever that is. What I'm picking up from that is that it's some kind of fairy tale retelling. That's the feeling I'm getting anyway. I remember the third book in this series came out earlier in 2023, and there was so much hype around it that I felt kind of jealous that I wasn't in the series and I didn't really get the hype. So I wanted this book. I really wanted this book to get into the universe and see what everyone was freaking out about. I believe this is set in the same universe as the Caraval series. And I'm gonna be so real with you and tell you that I have not read the Caraval series. I heard that it's good to read the Caraval series first because it introduces you to the magic or the world or whatever it is that's going on in this book. But you don't actually need it. It just makes it a bit easier. So I just left it and I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to jump straight into this and ask for this. I suppose we'll see. Next, we have The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So this book blew up online years ago. Like, I think it was 2020 that I really saw this explode online. I was always kind of intimidated by this a little bit. Apparently, it is a feminist fantasy book. I don't know, I can't speak to that. I don't know much about what's actually going on. I know it's fantasy, that's all I really know. And on the back, it's all kind of quotes and like there's very little given away on the back of this book, but I saw so many people loving it. Like it became like a fast favorite. So I wanted to know what's going on. Look at how big this book is. I am immediately kind of thrown off by how big the book is. Like, I have read big books before. I love big books, but there's something about this one that's really off-putting. I definitely won't be able to like read it on the bus. I won't be able to bring it with me anywhere. So that's already like negative marks because I like to read on the bus. What now? So that is incredibly inconvenient. However, I know I'm gonna enjoy this. Like, feminist fantasy, if that's how you describe a book, how could I not like adore it? So, looking forward to this one. Next up is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So this is a fiction romance, I think. Definitely contemporary anyway. The reason I say I'm not sure if it's romance is because the line here on the back is, this is the story of Sam and Sadie. It's not a romance, but it is about love. I'm gonna sneeze. No, lost it. So already I was being called out by the book itself saying, no, this ain't a romance, but it's about love. I know that, or well, I think I know, that it follows Sam and Sadie over the course of a few years. I think they're like friends and they're working together. I heard something about them making an app or a video game, I don't know. It's told over a few years, basically. Something else is that I'm definitely getting some kind of sad vibe off of this book, just off the back. It says here, the words betrayal and tragedy are right here in the blurb. So I don't know if this is gonna be sad or not. I feel like it might be. I don't know when I'll be emotionally ready for a sad book. The words betrayal and tragedy aren't usually used to describe a happy book anyway. So I'm really intrigued by what's going on in this. Next up we have Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Alire Sainz. This is a YA romance. This is the second book in a series. I'm not sure if there is a third one or what's being written. I just know that I liked the first one and it's the second one. I read the first one last year and I was so surprised by how much I really enjoyed it. I saw a lot of people comparing this series to They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, and I didn't really like that book. I thought it was very basic, that's the thing. It is written for teens and I'm in my 20s, so it's not that shocking and that maybe it wasn't written for me. So I was expecting that other book, the first book in this series, to fall into the same category for teens, probably a nice story, but not for me. This absolutely shocked me that I was so invested and I enjoyed it so much. To give you an idea of the story, these books are set in Texas in the 80s and follow two Mexican-American teenage boys basically falling in love. And yeah, it's a really heartwarming story. I really enjoyed the first one. So, of course, the second one was given to me. They're very sweet coming-of-age story. So, can recommend this series, definitely. The next book is pretty much the exact opposite to the Aristotle and Dante book, and that is Twisted Hate by Ana Huang. Okay, if you have seen any of my videos, I've spoken about this series already loads. To try keep it brief enough, this is the third book in the Twisted series. I liked the first book enough, like it was batshit insane, but that's what I enjoyed about it. Second book was kind of disappointing. I didn't find it that enjoyable at all. I struggled to get through it. And so, third time's a charm. You never know. I could think this was the best book written ever. I'm going to see out this series. No matter what, I will finish the last two because I'm a completionist and I have issues. And it takes a lot for me to completely drop a series. If you're looking for a Wattpad style book that is printed, this series, go for it. Next, I got Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This is the second book in a YA dystopian series. This kind of falls into the same category to me as the Aristotle and Dante book. I find teenage YA fantasy to be kind of tiresome because I've read it before. I've done the Hunger Games, the Cassandra Clares, all of those kind of books as a teenager when I was a teenager and adored those books. And after reading adult fantasy, I always find it kind of hard to come back to teen fantasy because it's the same stuff, just less complex. And again, that's not a bad thing. I'm not like shitting on teen fantasy. I'm just pointing out that I might not be the audience to be reading it. However, I really liked Scythe. So, oh yeah, context, this is the second book in the Scythe series. The first book is called Scythe. I really loved Scythe. Scythe was just really good. And to give you an idea of this universe, because dystopia, it is set in the distant future where basically death has been essentially eliminated. Like disease, not a thing. War, not a thing. Etc, etc. Natural causes, no such thing. No one dies. No one just dies, right? So because no one dies, you need a way to control the population, you know, resources and all the rest. So certain people, I suppose, are chosen to become scythes and they choose who die. They get quotas, these scythes get quotas that tells them, right, I need to kill X amount of people in this amount of time. And yeah, they go about doing that, they kill people. And of course, as this is a dystopian book, there's some flaws in the system, you know, maybe a bit of corruption sprinkled in there. Of course, we have the main two characters are two teenagers who were chosen to be scythes and they're training up and all the rest. So then this is the second book and it is set, I think, like a year after the first book ended, and there was something that happened at the end of the first book, so It's very entertaining, it's very interesting. So I'm excited to see how the story continues. Next we have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So this seems like a romance, kind of. From reading the back of this book, it's giving Gossip Girl. That is what I'm getting from this. So how many loves do you get in a lifetime? You know, love, romance. Magnolia Parks is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved and mildly neurotic London socialite. Socialite, all the adjectives, Gossip Girl. Sounds fun. Side note, is the love interest really called BJ? Like, I can look past a lot in my romance books, but BJ? Is that what she calls him? Is she in love with BJ? Can't say I'd make the same naming decisions as the author, to be honest. Anyway, it looks like a kind of fun read. I don't really know anything about this beyond what's on the back of the book, so I'm excited to see where it takes me. And last but not least, we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is like fantasy book. I've heard about V.E. Schwab, but this will be the first time I read one of her books. I have heard that Schwab is a very descriptive writer, and sometimes that is not my vibe. It depends on how it's done. If it's overly descriptive, like too much, I gotta go. I don't enjoy books that are just pure description, no matter how beautiful the description is. So I wanted to try out something by V.E. Schwab. I thought this would be a good entry point. It's also a series, so if I do enjoy this first one, I will definitely go back and I'll go and buy the second and third. I think it's 3. There's something about magicians and London. There's apparently multiple Londons. One thing I saw so Cassandra Clare, kind of tangent, but it'll make sense in a sec, is Cassandra Clare released a book earlier last year that is adult fantasy for the first time. And when the description got released, people were already complaining that it was too similar to this book or this series. This was before the book was even released, so I don't know how true that is or how not. I might let you know after I read it if they're similar, because I did read the Cassandra Clare book. I think I will like V.E. Schwab's writing. So these are the books I got for Christmas. I'm really excited about all of these. I'm really excited about these. I definitely won't be complaining about a lack of books anytime soon. So thank you for watching.